And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking F1 engines for the 2026 season. We're going to go through them, and the battle is very much, well, not only begun, it's continuing into 2026. Who is going to have the best engine? We're going to try and have a guess after this. May the engine wars begin. So first of all, we're going to look at what every team is going to have for their 2026 engine. There's going to be 5 of them. And first but no means least is going to be Red Bull. They're going to obviously have Red Bull powertrains, aka Ford. What's interesting, as you probably aware, Red Bull were very much in an awkward situation come the end of the 2021 season because Honda was like, yeah, see you later. However, it's rode back since, and they've kind of been using that supply deal from 22 to 2025 with their own Ford deal from 2026 onwards. That initially it was Christian Horner making their own engine, and then Ford have helped with that and come back on. Let's look at Mercedes. No, I mean, let's be fair, you're not going to get any prizes to guess what engine they're going to have. It's not Ferrari. No, they're the works team. And what's interesting, they're still, to this day, ever since 1994, split across 2 different factories or bases. The Mercedes F1 are in Brackley. And then you've got, in Brixworth, you've got what used to be called Ilmore, now called AMG High Performance Powertrains. And they're the ones that have ever since 94, made those Mercedes engines. Another one you're not going to get any prizes for is Ferrari. Arguably F1's only true works team. Some saying, but they're going to have, obviously, an in-house F1 Ferrari engine. McLaren, Mercedes. And what's interesting about McLaren this year and the previous year, they've really embarrassed Mercedes. They've won the Constructors' Championship 2 years in a row. Won more races handsomely than their works team Mercedes. Yeah, I mean, they could learn a thing or two, couldn't they? What's interesting, so we've got Aston Martin, Honda, and this one is really weird. Not the fact they're having Honda, I mean, you know, we know how good that Honda is. Take a look at the Red Bull. But what's weird is the Aston Martin, the brand, a luxury brand, if you will, and Honda. No, I'm not saying it's, well, it's not. Excuse me. Hopefully that muted, I just sneezed. Excuse me. So, Aston Martin, Honda. It sounds weird. I just don't get it. But fair enough. Fair play to them. But yeah, despite announcing it with withdrawal from the 2021 season, Honda never really left Formula 1. And then Honda's name returned to the maker of the engine for Red Bull and AlphaTauri in 2023, and also registered as a manufacturer for the FIA for the next set of F1 engine regulations, which made Aston Martin, as we know, very happy. Alpine. Yes, the Alpine. I mean, this is just even more weirdness. Alpine. Renault, but no, they're going to go with Mercedes. I mean, if you think the Aston Martin Honda's weird, Alpine Mercedes, this is a team in an absolute identity crisis. It's kind of like going as a Halloween costume and basically going as a Robocop and Freddy Krueger in one. It just wouldn't really work, would it? It's just bizarre. Anyway, moving on. Williams Mercedes. Yeah, fair enough. Williams announced on January the 8th that it was extending its partnership into the 2026 cycle. So what's going to be interesting is if Mercedes are the best engine, like they were in 2014, remember how good that Williams was. Racing Bulls RBT, Red Bull Powertrains, aka kind of Ford. You've got Audi. They're joining F1 for the first time in 2026 and is currently building up its preparations for that program, which involves a majority stake of the Sauber F1 team. Ferrari. Yeah, Haas announced a new deal with Ferrari, and they pretty much use Ferrari all the way from 2026. And what's interesting, the new Cadillac team are going to be Ferrari as well. The F1's newest team for 2026 is going to have that Ferrari engine, and we keep scrolling down. That's pretty much it. But let's talk about the Audi engine then. Excuse me. So, rumoured F1 2026 engine details as huge Mercedes power deficit emerges. Now, I'm assuming that's going to be their deficit to Mercedes, but let's have a look, shall we? This is the newest story today. So the new Audi F1 engine could be as much as 31 horsepower down on what expected to be the bespoke, the best power unit, which is Mercedes. Expected to. Because let's be fair, they haven't won yet. We're going to have a much better idea in testing, and then a much better idea when we hit that qualifying in Australia. But Audi F1 is going to make its long-awaited debut in Formula 1 in 2026. as we know. And it says Audi F1 lagging behind Mercedes. Well, they're going to be one of 5 engine manufacturers represented in Formula 1 next season. Formula 1 has never looked better in terms of engines. Now, along with Mercedes, Ferrari, Honda, and the fellow newcomers, Red Bull Powertrains, Ford. So F1 regulations, as we know, they're going to be overhauled, as we'll get into that at a later date. Rumours have persisted, though, for some time that Mercedes' preparation for the new rules, like in 2014, are significantly more advanced than their rivals. Now, the Brackley team previously emerged as F1's dominant force, as I mentioned, in the last thing. And a report has claimed that Audi's new power unit could be more than 30 brake horsepower behind Mercedes. And that was from the Italian edition of Motorsport.com, and suggested that Mercedes has received figures of 420 kilowatts, that's 571 horsepower, with its 2026 engine, obviously boosted by that hybrid unit when they use it. Now, in comparison, Audi has broken through the 400 kilowatt barrier, with its internal combustion engine said to be operating at between 540 and 550. That's a deficit of, 21 to 31 horsepower. To put those numbers in context, an FIA analysis of the current power units in 23 found the Renault widely agreed to be the weakest, to be between 20 and 33 horsepower behind the front runners, and look how much Alpine have struggled this year. Not particularly good. Now, let's move on to Ferrari. The revolutionary Ferrari engine in development is apparently top secret. And Planet F1 are reporting that these 2026 top secret Ferrari engine details emerge. Now, they are apparently developing a revolutionary and top secret intake system for its new engine. The 2026 season is going to see, as we know, the biggest rule changes, yada yada yada, but Ferrari's reportedly going absolutely revolutionary. Formula 1 is going to embrace a 50% electrification, which we know. 5 engine manufacturers are going to be represented, we know this. And we know that Mercedes are looking to be potentially the most dominant. Lewis Hamilton, now a Ferrari driver, as we know, he struggled in his first season, but let's be fair, not always going to be about the engine. However, Hamilton and teammate Charles Leclerc could be in for a boost, it says, ahead of the 2026 rules. A report by the Italian edition, biased maybe, but the Italian edition of Motorsport.com has claimed that Ferrari is working on an aluminium alloy cylinder head for its 2026 engine that's going to feature a top secret intake system. Now, it comes after a highly innovative steel cylinder head solution proposed by outgoing head of the internal combustion engine and research development Wolf Zimmermann was abandoned due to reliability concerns. Now, I'm assuming that's from Ferrari. In the reports in Italy last month, though, it claimed that Zimmermann is expected to leave Ferrari when his work on the 26 engine is complete, with Audi F1 likely to be his next destination. Interesting. Zimmermann is expected to be followed by Audi F1 by his deputy Lars Schmidt, with current power unit technical director Enrico Gualtieri, I probably got that completely wrong, set to take over Ferrari's F1 engine development. Now, the report adds that the lost time in switching between the cylinder head designs has left Ferrari, sadly, playing catch-up compared to Mercedes, with Honda also apparently not too far behind. But an alarming report in April claimed that all but one engine manufacturer, Mercedes, has experienced serious issues with the development of their engine. 2 manufacturers are thought to be a long way behind the power setters, with another struggling. Little was known about the progress of the 5th unnamed manufacturer, but Laurent Mekies, the Red Bull team principal, recently admitted it would be silly to expect the team to rival Mercedes and Ferrari from the start of 2026, and we'll get into that in a bit. Mekies' comments came after his predecessor Horner claimed it would be embarrassing for the established engine manufacturers if Ford produces more powerful engines for it next season. But that's Christian Horner. But that's quite interesting. Ferrari going revolutionary. So that's, as we know with Ferrari, that's either going to work really, really well, or they'll be at the back of the grid. I mean, it seems with Ferrari there's currently no middle ground. I'm going to have my fingers crossed that it's going to be revolutionary, and hopefully everyone's going to be copying it, and Mercedes are going to be shocked. Now, George Russell is very confident in Mercedes' new F1 engine for 2026. Now, this was all the way back in This was all the way back in August, I believe. It's going to, as we know, it's going to undergo an absolutely major overhaul. It's talking about, we know about that. Russell, though, has shared his first impression of the new Mercedes power unit for 2026. And he's now got a contract. He said he didn't. That's how long ago August was. But he said, I'm definitely very confident in the power unit side. I think on average, over these last 10 years, or probably even longer, I can't remember when Mercedes didn't have the best power unit in F1. Okay, maybe except for 2019, but obviously there are some other reasons behind that. Hello, Ferrari. He went on to say, but even more, the regulation change, even in the V8 era, I think the Mercedes engine was probably the most competitive one of the field as well. So I'm definitely very confident in the organisation, and I think he will be. Is it going to be a dominant force though? Of course, for us at Mercedes F1, we recognise that McLaren will have the same engine. They're talking about Alpine and Williams, and currently, let's be fair, they're getting beaten, aren't they, by McLaren? Now, according to Russell, sustainable fuels are also an under-discussed factor, but potentially a major performance differentiator in 2026. And this isn't really talked about enough. He said, we've never spoken about fuel performance before, but this is a really huge aspect going into next year with everything going sustainable. And I don't think we can discuss that enough. And this is where car manufacturers that make their engines, like Red Bull for the Red Bull car, Ferrari for the Ferrari car, Mercedes for the Mercedes car, can work with their fuel providers a lot closer than, for example, people like McLaren, Williams can, and obviously Aston Martin and Honda. So that's what's going to be really interesting. But last but no means least, we don't have a massive update about Honda, but Meki has come out. And this was all the way back in September the 5th, so just about a month and a half ago-ish. He's come out and said it's silly to assume Red Bull engines will match Mercedes and F1 in 2026. So not quite the hyperbole that Horner has saying. Meki doesn't disagree with Toto Wolff's claims that Red Bull is climbing Mount Everest with its in-house Formula 1 power unit. And what's really interesting is this going to be key to keeping Max Verstappen at Red Bull as well? Red Bull Formula 1 chief Meki has admitted that his team's decision to build its own power unit is as crazy as it gets, but feels this is why it fits Red Bull's DNA. As we know, now Christian Horner's gone, Red Bull's really a lot more successful. But as a brand new F1 engine builder, Red Bull is facing a huge challenge to take on. Obviously, you've got Mercedes, Ferrari and Honda. Let's be fair, Red Bull were referred to by Lewis Hamilton once as just a drinks company, and he later rescinded that years later and apologised, because they're clearly not. They are a very effective Formula 1 team that is absolutely scaring McLaren a lot at the moment. So, when Autosport put those comments to Meki at the Italian Grand Prix, and what were those comments? As a brand new F1 engine builder, Red Bull is facing a huge challenge. The odds were against Red Bull and had it Mount Everest to climb. That's what Toto Wolff said. When Autosport put those comments, the Frenchman, as in Laurent Meki, didn't really disagree. He's an intelligent guy. And explained this was why he felt the hyper-ambitious program fits Red Bull's DNA so well. He said, Toto is right by saying that it's an Everest to climb. I think that's what it is. I think it's as crazy as it gets to take the decision to do your own power unit as Red Bull. It is an unbelievable challenge to be associated with. It's the sort of crazy stuff that Red Bull does. So it's a good feeling. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Who do you think is going to have the brand new power unit? As we know, Honda, well, they made a very good one with Red Bull. I mean, nobody really knows, do they? The favourite seems to be Mercedes, but we don't know, and that's what makes it so exciting. It really, really does, doesn't it? Who is it going to be? I'm going to leave it here with the weird Alpine Mercedes picture. Comment below and let us know, and if you're not, please give us a subscribe. That'd be really, really cool. But you just watching this video is more than enough for us. But if you want to do a bit more, hit that like button as well. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much. And above all else, stay safe.